Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you and have you all back here for our Winning Monday sessions. Not sure if I can see everybody. Let's see. Maybe y'all can turn on your cameras so that I can see all your beautiful and handsome faces. Wow, I see Chris Wong very comfortable, still in his singlet. Okay, it's good to have everyone back here for our Winning Monday sessions. Now, how many of you had a good break over the weekend? If you had a good break and you feel very rested, very relaxed, and you're ready to start the week, press 1. Okay, how many of you had a good weekend? All right. Wow, that's good that many of you all had a good weekend. I think I had a good weekend. I baked some cookies. I got to go on a longer hike on Saturday morning. And I also managed to catch the basketball finals in the Olympics as well as the rhythmic gymnastics. So I think I had a good and restful weekend because I got to do the things that I wanted to do. And I hope that you had a good weekend too and that you're ready to conquer the week ahead of you. Now, as you would notice, the usual person hosting this session, Jonathan Lee, it's not him, okay? So I'm not Jonathan Lee. And somehow, I think I got tricked into doing this. I thought I was only supposed to do one part of this session, but I don't know how I ended up needing to helm this entire thing, okay? Somehow, I got tricked into doing this. But anyhow, we're going to have a good session today, as you will also get to hear from two very special guest speakers who will be up here with me in just a bit, all right? Now, today we are going to explore a topic that is not unfamiliar to everyone, and it's actually on this area of leadership. Okay, we titled today's session, Leadership, It Starts With You. And you must be wondering, how is this relevant to me? And maybe some of you are already thinking that, hey, I'm actually not a leader, I'm not a division director. I don't have a platform. I was never a head of sales, I don't have a team. So how am I a leader? And now these thoughts and conclusions are actually quite common because oftentimes we tend to equate leadership as a position or a big title that we carry. There is a famous quote by this guy by the name of Donald McGannon, and he was quite a well-known person in the broadcasting industry during the formative years of television. So this is like many years back, right? And he says this, leadership is not a position or a title. It is action and example. Let me repeat that again, okay? He says that leadership is not a position or title, it is action and example. And virtual support, if you can catch this, you can type it out again. Leadership is not a position or title, it is action and example. And true enough, leadership is about the action that you and I choose to take, an example that we decide we want to be. It is a daily choice that we make every day from the moment we wake up. So yes, leadership does start with you because it is you and no one else that makes decisions and choices for your life, my life on a daily basis, right? You decide what time you want to wake up this morning, what you want to wear to, come for the Winning Monday session. Later, you will be deciding what you would like to have for lunch as well as for dinner, right? Every day you decide, how long you want to lead generate, or whether you want to send out the available 33 touch points, that we provide for you all to stay in touch with your clients. And you have the power and ability to decide if you want to start using campaigns, maybe, to run ads for your listings or explore learning and mastering opportunities for your real estate business. So you may think that, hey, I don't have a leadership position, in Redfield or in this organization, or a fancy title to your name, but you are a leader in every way by the action that you take and the example that you choose to be. Okay, so today we are very privileged to hear from two very different individuals who are playing also very different roles in this organization, but everyone will agree with me when I say that both of them have shown great leadership in their own capacities. Okay, we will get to hear their thoughts on this word leadership and also hear them share their own experience in the journey of leadership. Can I have both Wei-Li and Jonathan Lee to join me on the screen now, and let's welcome them. Yay! This is why Jonathan Lee is not hosting, because he has reverse role and he is your guest speaker for today. Okay, that's why somebody had to take over. Right. Thank you, Wei-Li and John, for being willing to share some insights on this topic, because you gave me the power to ask any questions I want. Now I will get to have some fun with this. All right. Let's start with introducing yourself, who you are, what is your role, how long have you been in this role that you are currently in, what do you do basically? All right.
Hi everyone. Since they say a lady starts first, my name is Wei-Li. Nice to meet everyone. Currently I am playing the role of a director of growth and development from Market Center 1. I only started this role I think come March this year, so probably just about a few months ago.
Right. Good morning. I think you all should know what I do, what role I play. It's like very weird. I'm introducing myself. So for the benefit of those who don't know me, I'm the CEO of the company. I be in this role for the past maybe 6, 7, 8 months. Before that, I was the COO of the company for about 4.5 years, almost 5 years. Yes, I shaved myself clean this morning just to prepare for today's session. Yeah, so real estate business for the past 17 years already.
All right. Perhaps maybe tell us, what does your usual day-to-day look like in the role that you're playing? So for example, Wei-Li, who is, Director of Growth and Expansion, Director of Growth and Development, sorry, Director of Growth and Development in Market Center 1. Basically, she's the assistant team leader, right, to Roland. What is your day, like, what does your day-to-day look like? And, for Jonathan, him being Deputy Regional OP, what does your day-to-day look like?
I think every day starts off with a lot of meetings. Like, it either could be a meeting just with the other team leaders or just within the market center leadership. Then usually it breaks off into different business consults that I will conduct either with internal agents or also with external agents, or just speaking to different people. So I think that pretty much sums up my entire day.
Right. So for me, my day starts the night before I go to bed. So if today's preparation start yesterday night, just to go through my calendar, see what's going on in my calendar for the next day. If there's any last minute thing that I didn't prepare, that night will be where I will start preparing. My role requires me to have a lot of conversation with a lot of people. I talk a lot of meetings, management meetings, with the regional team, the market center leadership, with key agents, with different committees, and with a lot of strategic planning, a lot of accountability conversation, a lot of interesting insights. I like to do a lot of research. I like to read a lot. I like to research what's going on with my competitors. I want to research what's going on with agents that are successful, agents that are not so successful. So I do a lot of all this kind of stuff almost every day.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so now you guys know how we always get our info, right? Because John is always doing research, especially on competitors, right? And one of the reasons why he does it is because he wants to be aware on what our competitors is doing, so that we can always stay ahead of the game, right? Now, today because we are exploring the whole area on leadership, right? And one of the common, I would say common question that is out there and that you would hear from different ones is this: are leaders born or made? Right? Are leaders born or made? What are your thoughts? What are your personal thoughts on this?
I think leaders, I mean, definitely when you're born, you you know you're a baby, right? You won't have all these skills in you until you're probably also just exposed to things and you learn and you pick up along the way. This is what I personally think. So if you were to ask me if they are born or made, I think they are made, because I think there's anyone can be a leader simply because it's just part of something that is a choice. It's a choice, and it's also part of them or people just wanting to also just take the action into leading themselves or even just leading other people. So I believe it's made. It's not a trick question, right? Why?
I'm very nice one. Okay, I won't ask your trick questions. Don't worry.
I think this is just my thoughts and my observations. I think when we were born, we were already given the choice to lead. The day you were born, or I was born, all of us were born, we were leading the adults around us to pay attention to us. We were leading for attention. We were leading to tell people, hey, I need my milk right now. Hey, I need you to change my diapers right now. That we were born to make choices and to lead others to come to us. That was how we were kind of born, to get attention and all that. But I think as we go along the way, I believe leadership is a lifestyle. I believe if you want to have a good and fruitful and a good life, be a good leader for yourself and the people around you. Because I think it should be part of a lifestyle. And I think sometimes we get confused with the word leadership, as what Christine said earlier about having a position, title, role versus having a good lifestyle. And I think they both meet. And I think having a good lifestyle, leadership is part of a lifestyle. The decisions that we make, the choices that we make are how we choose to lead our life. So it's a lifestyle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So earlier on, I mentioned that quote, leadership is not a position or a title, which I think most of us would agree, and Wei-Li and John, you will agree as well. It is action and an example, right? So I think let me just go with Wei-Li first. You transitioning from marketing to this current role, it's very different, right? Because what you did in marketing was totally different than what you are currently doing this now. Yeah. So can I ask, what were some action steps that you had to take to help you adjust being in this new role?
Well, I think it's a huge adjustment for me, simply because I have no real estate background. I'm not sure if everyone knows that. I was never an agent. I was just plunk into this industry, but doing marketing, right? So it required a lot. I mean, I think I'm also still adjusting, definitely still adjusting. I think it's also a long process or journey for me. What helped me was being in a community or surrounding myself with people that could guide me throughout this journey. So I am now that I'm in the market center itself, I am constantly surrounded by agents, by leaders who were also agents. I mean, most of them were also had that agent experience. So I think just being around people that could help also help me in this journey really helped a lot, because people are there to just support, to guide me through I think with everything that I'm going through right now.
Okay. And really, if you were to look back 5 to 10 years ago, right? Just imagine, if like 5 to 10 years ago, would you have been able to foresee that you will be where you are today doing what you're doing right now?
No, definitely. Like, this would never ever cross my mind.
What changed?
What
as,
changed?
as you reflect back?
I think part and parcel of everything that I did along the way or experience, I don't know, maybe because now my role is also more into people. Just slightly before I came to Redfield, I was actually somewhat working abroad for a few years, a bit more of a voluntary work kind of position. And that exposed me to deal with all kinds of people with from different age groups, be it they are in their teens or even to their 50s, right? Or even more. So I was exposed to that situation where I had to journey with these people, and also go through life with them. And it was also I was also placed in a situation where I somewhat had to make decisions for them in certain journeys, or kind of to lead them like in a way. I think that experience of just being with people really stirred up my passion to continue to work with people more. I think essentially I realized that, hey, I'm really passionate about people. I'm really passionate about just doing life with people. And so maybe that kind of changed. Like when I came back, I was back to doing what I was used to doing, right? Doing marketing, because prior to my few years abroad, I was doing marketing. So that was like the natural response. Like, okay, I'll just come back to something that I'm used to. Then I think along the way, I realized that what really drove me even in marketing was really about the team, was really about building the potential in my team, in the marketing team, or even just being around people. So I think that's kind of where it led me to now, just having that open conversations with John and Christine. One fine day last year, I was like, hey, let's have a talk. I think they were also very open. Like I'm just very blessed to have them as my leaders as well, and just them being very open to hear what I have in my heart. And I just shared like I think I want to also move on to explore roles that maybe allows me to also be with people, or just journey with them, right? And yeah, this opportunity came about, and that's how I think it's all a long process of just self-discovery as well that took more than 10 years, I think.
Okay. And would you say that even in that journey and in the process, you always had opportunities to influence others?
Yes, and I realized that along the years, my first response was always no. Like if the opportunity came, I always said no, because I'm just the kind of person that prefers to just be behind the scenes lah, and like just don't do anything that's so requires me to step out of my comfort zone. I was just very comfortable. So at every time I were to think back, there was always instances where something was mentioned, and I would, the first response, or many times I just say no. Then I realized that along the way, when I do say more yeses along the way, you just expand more, you just grow more like in different ways. And I think what I can say is I'm constantly being stretched, but this idea of being stretched is not a negative thing. I think it's really just there's a lot of growth in it, like when it comes to this. So yeah.
Okay, so I hear that it took a lot of mindset change, right? Because you said that I was constantly saying no. You tend to run to no first, before slowly moving to the yes, right? So it took a lot of mindset change in the process of it, right? What were some things that you did to help you have that mindset change from a no to a yes?
I think again, it goes back down to the people that I'm with, or the community that I'm with. Because sometimes when you self-doubt, or you're not sure, you go to the people that you're familiar with, that people that you kind of look to for guidance, right? So I think that helped me along the way. Just asking opinions, and just really maybe doing more research about whatever it is required, right? And just asking people like, yeah, what do you think about this? Like, if I were to do this, would this be okay? Like, would I be able to do it? So I think just being able to hear from people that I trust and people who have been journeying with me really helps. And sometimes even, I think sometimes a lot of it is also my own self-talk that I have to tell myself, that, hey, actually, you never know, like what's the worst that can happen, right? Like if we tak jadi, then tak jadi lah. Maybe they'll just fire me. I don't know. Maybe I don't. That's maybe the worst thing that can happen, right? If I don't make it, I'll just find another job. But it's just really trying. Sometimes telling myself that maybe we never know until we try. So maybe if they are willing to give me this chance to try and they're willing to take the risk with me, I would want to also do it with them. And if it doesn't work out, okay lah, maybe it's just not for me. And then we know that I'm not a good fit and vice versa, right? But we never know until we try. And I think that always comes up to my last conclusion for myself, which I will always tell myself, like, okay lah, just go for it lah.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds that that you also mustered up the courage and told yourself that, hey, you know, if I need to do this, I just fail forward, right? If I fail at this, if I like you say, you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? I mean, I don't think we'll fire you, but you know, but like, yeah, you know, you knew that it will not be perfect. You knew that it will not always be right. You may not get everything right, but the idea is that, but let's just take this, you know, let's just have courage to do this and fail forward, right? So yeah, that's also part of leadership. Thank you for sharing. John, let me go to you. So you are also pretty new in this current role as a deputy regional OP, overseeing the region. And ensuring that, you know, Keller Williams Malaysia continues to provide value for all the refill officers and also eventually beyond, right? Because we're all about growth, right? It's a big task and obviously a very, very, very huge responsibility. Now, what are some new things that you had to do right now in this new role that you never had to do before?
Wow, very good question. I think learning new things, getting myself in a very uncomfortable zone, having more level of accountability, having more people holding me accountable. I give you an example. I recently I have been given a scholarship to receive MAPS coaching. MAPS coaching is a direct leadership MAPS coaching from the US, and I've got my MAPS coach that I meet every week once, every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. I haven't had that kind of accountability for a very, 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 very long time. And sometimes it's very uncomfortable because it's easy for me to hold people accountable, right? It's easy, right? Just go there and then I hold people accountable versus I'm preparing to be held accountable by someone, right? And if you understand MAPS coaching, it's a very high level accountability where, you know, show me your numbers, show me your this and that and that. So it's that kind of conversation. I think giving myself more, making myself more vulnerable with more people to hold me accountable is something that I think has not happened for a very long time in my life. So I think this is probably one of the biggest changes for me. Number two is to communicate and go and talk to my peers from around the world. I think the privilege and the opportunity that I have right now is to talk to 53 over leaders of other regions around the world. At the same time, I also get to sit down with Gary Keller and the regional directors conversation every month around the world as well. And suddenly you realize, right, that there's so much more that I don't know. I realize there's so much more I don't know. There's so much more I don't understand. There's so much more that I need to learn. And there's so much more I'm so behind personally for me, right? So I think these are some of the experiences and the journey that I'm going through right now.
Okay, you mentioned the word holding me accountable. So accountability, I mean, it's a word that is not unfamiliar to everyone, and it's something that a lot of our trainers are also training. It's part of the syllabus in KW as well. So would you say that no matter what season or phase of life you're in, no matter how old you are, even if you are a 75-year-old, if eventually when you become 75 years old, would you say that accountability is still something important for a person's life?
I think it depends on the intensity of what you want to achieve in life. The higher the intensity or the higher the impact of certain things that you want to achieve, then the higher the intensity of your accountability has to happen. So it really depends on what you want in your life, right? So I give an example. If today I want to become the world champion in weightlifting, right? I have to use weightlifting now because of my physique, right? So that's probably one opportunity I have, right? If I tell you power to become world champion in badminton, then not going to work, right? So then I need to have a coach that's going to drive me every day because we want to achieve something that is very intense, right? So I think accountability is important depending also on the intensity and the impact that you're trying to create or the output that you want. So I think a lot of times the word accountability is very big. We've got to be very clear what we want the accountability to do for us, right? And that's very critical. So I think sometimes when we want to achieve a certain number, we want to achieve a certain outcome, but we don't want that kind of intense accountability. So then it may not translate into that kind of output that we want, right? So it's a very formularized mathematical kind of concept, I think. So I believe in all ages, accountability exists and is necessary. From marriage to living as a man to whatever it is, there is that accountability depending on what area that you want to be accountable for, or especially in the area of things that you want to change, you want to impact, you want to improve. Then yes, then accountability is necessary. I'm a firm believer that if you want improvement and change, there is nothing else more important than accountability. Just my belief, right?
Wow. Okay. I'm also learning something new. So it's very important for one to have very, very clear goals and objective in what they want to achieve, even as they go through the accountability journey. And I agree with you. The higher your goals, the bigger things that you want to achieve, the more intense the accountability needs to be in place, because the reality is, even we all have our shortfalls and our weaknesses. We have days where we say, I don't want to do this, I'm lazy, so then that's where the accountability or the people that you surround yourself with will help you in that journey. All right. So still, John, I think you went through quite a bit, I would say, to adjust being in this new role. And the only reason why I can say this is also because I somewhat perhaps was in that same journey with you. And I remember knowing you when you first came in, like your first, few months where nobody really knew who you were, but you were in the office, but some of us know that, okay, this is who you're going to be, kind of a thing. Back then till now, a lot of things has happened, even though it's only a short span of time, but I don't know, to me it feels like 7 to 10 years kind of a thing, right? Because of so many things that we've gone through. But I've seen you, come in and to where you are today. Definitely a lot of adjustment being in this new role, right? What were some action steps that you had to take, for you yourself to really adjust doing this?
Right. Very good question. I think the number one pursuit that we want to have on a daily basis, if possible, is the pursuit of clarity. Is to understand what you are trying to do, what you are trying to achieve. Why am I trying to do this? Why am I doing this? What's the purpose behind what I'm doing? So finding clarity is a challenge. And then the first few months I came in, I was looking for clarity. When you're looking for clarity, it will look as if you are losing your mind. You're going everywhere. You're trying to investigate. You're trying to do so many things. and then you're trying to make people happy. There's so many things because you're searching for clarity, right? You're trying to understand what is it that has to be done? What is the problem? You're trying to diagnose, right, the situation around you, and then also you're trying to diagnose yourself. There were questions that I asked myself. I think somewhere in my second year in this organization, am I a fit here? Right? And when you pursue clarity to its highest level, you have to challenge the tension between what is good and what is bad. You have to challenge that tension. You have to be able to go and explore things that is uncomfortable, right? So I think seeking clarity constantly, pursuing clarity, I won't say seek, I will use this word called pursuing clarity. Because to pursue is a lot of effort. It is a lot of energy. It's a lot of focus. So pursuing clarity, it's very important. I think that is that one thing. If you ask me what's that one thing that I can help me to adjust to my role, is pursuing clarity. Number two is learning about the people on your left and right. Learning about them, about their life, learning about who they are, what they do, why they want to do this. Understanding the people around you is very important, because the people are the greatest resource and the greatest assets in the organization's lifespan. But at the same time, I would say that I am quite interested about the people that I work with. I'm interested about their well-being. I'm interested about their progress. I'm interested about where they are and how can I help them. So having that mindset of understanding the people around you is very important, because it is the journey is about the people that you meet, you work with, you collaborate with. So having that understanding and listening to people is very, very important. And I think these are the two key things that has guided me very, very well, to know the people, and to really be interested about their welfare, right? So we understand. So I think these are the two things that helps me to adjust, to understand. And the third thing is to learn to let go. Right? Learn to let go. Learn to let go. Empower people. Well, today I let go my position. Now I become guest, or someone else become facilitator. Right? Learn to let go. Right? Learn to let go, because there are certain things you cannot do. Learn to let go and prioritize things that's good. Because of the people that you now know how to mobilize the people, how to leverage on them, how to empower them. I have this mental mindset one, that in my journey of leading or leadership in what I'm doing right now, I'm always looking for a successor. I'm always looking for someone to replace me, someone to be better to replace me anytime, because life is very short and there are a lot of uncertainties that may happen. So it's important to prepare the people and prepare your bench of substitutes, right? Prepare that bench, and having that vision is very important. And to learn to let go and allow and empower people to do the things that they can do better than me, so that I can go and do things that I think I am good at and I want to improve, right? So I think letting go is important. Empowering and letting go. That's not easy, by the way. It's not easy. But I think these are the three things that I can think of as you ask that question.
I like how you use the word pursue, pursuing clarity, because it gives me an understanding. I'm not sure about the rest, but for me, it gives me an understanding that this is a continuous thing. This is an ongoing thing. This is something that you keep doing over and over and over again. And maybe you may have like clarity in this current season of life, but clarity is something that you continuously need to pursue every day until the day you die, in order to find your fulfillment and purpose of life.
Right. I just want to add one thing, right? When you pursue clarity, right, two things will happen. You will have to challenge that. You have to challenge, and you will be challenged. When you pursue clarity, right, that one of the symptoms that comes out is you are challenging something, or you are being challenged at something, or someone is challenging you at the same time. And that's important. It has to be a balance of both. You cannot only one way and everything you are right, but you have to be challenged as well. So it's challenging and being challenged is a good sign of healthy pursuit of clarity. Just my thoughts.
I have a follow-through question on that, which is obviously not in here. It's not what I wrote to you, because you talked about this. When you talked about challenge and being challenged, right? As you pursue clarity, what are some of the like feelings and emotions that you go through in facing some of these things?
Yeah. So personally, I'm a very fast, my emotions are very fast. If you work with me long enough, if I am in this moment where they're all shaking their heads already, right? This moment of being challenged, I will express, I'll be very expressive in my or I will articulate in a way that is very in a more stronger tone, right? And I think it's just me. I just have to let it out. I just have to let go, let out my frustration. Tear up, I don't tear lah. I don't tear. Normally, I mean people tear one. Tear up is a different thing lah. No, so no, don't have. I will normally go into what may seem as a good and wonderful argument or a good debate, right? I'll get into a very good debate. The emotions are high in terms of tension. Like you might see me yelling at people yelling at me. Okay, so that's I mean, that doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. It has happened a few times, but that, to me, is necessary. There are certain arguments that you must have, because if you are, I'll give you an example. If you're working on your PhD, you have to defend your thesis, right? So if you have a point that you are trying to make, a vision that you're trying to cast, a concept that you are trying to prove, you must find a way to defend, and you must use passion to defend, right? And you must be aggressive about it. And that's just me. I'm a little bit more aggressive kind of person. I'm a very pushy, aggressive kind of character. It's not right or wrong. It's just my character, right? So I think the tension is always going to be there. And I think it's necessary. I think it's important to have a very healthy tension, right? And when you're in chat, when you're being challenged, you will find that why do people cannot understand one? It's so simple, cannot understand one. Just listen. Why they don't understand one? Why want to argue with me some more? Right? But I have learned that that's why, as a leader, it's not about making sure people take orders and accept what I say. It's also about them, about me actually understanding them. It's about me trying to see, maybe they're just not ready for this yet. Maybe it's not, because if the people are not ready, if I'm trying to push it, right, it won't work as well, even though I can be right. Right? And being right is not important. Being right is not important. Being effective is important. Sometimes we get into that conversation of who is right, who is wrong, who is right, who is wrong. Maybe they're just not ready to do this yet. Then don't do it, but let the pain feel first. Maybe sometimes when people feel very painful, then change will happen. So I have learned that as well. Being right is not important. Being effective is more important than being right.
Yeah, right. Seeking first to understand and learning to listen in moments where you just need to listen. And I think Simon Sinek also talks about how sometimes, being a leader is also when you are the last to speak, right? Where you allow everyone else to speak first and you just listen, but you as a leader, you are actually the last to speak, right? John, still you. Later I'll ask Wei-Li this question as well. So in your growth journey as a leader, and I think definitely that there has been tremendous growth, right? Can you share a few things that you think defines you as a leader?
Wow. I think having clarity in my life journey is very important, because if I don't understand my life journey, I don't understand where I want to go personally for myself, I don't think I'm going to be an effective leader. And that itself is a constant journey, it's a constant pursuit, right? There are days I will do well, there are days I won't do well personally in my personal life. I think this is what my wife tells me, so it's good that she's my weakness. She's not here today, but she will tell you, especially the last couple of years have changed the way I behave in my personal life. And I think if you cannot lead your own personal life, you cannot lead others. right? And that reality has really sunk into me very, very hard this couple of years. How I lead my life, how I lead the responsibility in my family, how do I take care of my family, how do I put certain priorities. I'm still learning. I still fall short on a daily basis, but I'm still learning how to prioritize. I think having that clarity of leading my personal life has helped me tremendously in my professional life. And I think it has to come hand in hand. I think one cannot be very effective professionally and ineffective personally. That will be not the best. I don't want to live that kind of life, just to say that. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad or good, but I don't want to live that kind of life. So I think finding that counterbalance has helped me understand what's the most effective way to be a leader in my daily routine, from my own personal life, as a parent, as a husband, as a son, and as a leader in the organization. So I think that is important. Pursuing that clarity is very critical. I also think some of the things have changed is I am more learning based than before. I thought I knew a lot of things until I joined KW. Honestly, seriously, humility had a different level in my life recently, the past 2.5 years. Humbleness have taken me in a different form to understand that there's just so much out there. And it helps when you're sitting in the room once a month with in my opinion, the smartest guy in the planet in terms of real estate business. You get to see the vision that he has for the past 10, 15, 20 years, right? Amazing. And that has humbled me to that. So I think the humility part, I think personally has changed the way I look at things. I think right now I'm a little bit more empathetic to people. Last time I was very, very, how do I say, they all will laugh at me. I'm very, no patience. Why they cannot understand? I have this thought in my head already. Why they cannot understand? Why they don't get it? That's so simple, right? So I think I've changed that to, okay, how can we help them get it? How can we work with people that get it, right? So I think that has changed, and it's all about the exposure and the opportunity that the organization has given me in this journey, and mixing around the right people for me in this time, this season. It was very important because when I'm, especially in the area, let's say I just give an example, in the area of technology in our industry, right? If I go and talk to my peers, sometimes I feel they think I'm like a mad scientist. They look at me like, this guy is like a mad scientist. He's talking about things that people may not understand. And I understand that. I think the change was I truly understand why they don't understand, because they have not exposed to that. And then I'm now pursuing how can I help expose them to things that is necessary for them to understand, because it's important, right? So I think these are some of the things that have changed in me. Being aggressive in a very, very different fashion.
Right. Subtle aggression.
I don't think. I think it's changing the dance, changing the way you dance. Right? Maybe last time I was dancing a techno music. Now I'm dancing ballroom dancing. Right? So if you can understand that comparison, right? You're still doing a dance, but you are doing it differently, because the goal of leadership is to be effective. Remember, you have to create impact. You must make the change. You must bring improvement. So if you're not doing it this way, then you will change your way. And I think there's a progression for it. And also, I think there's a season for any different kind of leadership style in different seasons, right? So I don't think there's one way of leadership. I think it's a constant journey.
Yeah. Right. So just to put it in a bit more of a bullet point for those who are listening and participating here with us today. Basically, John shared on how he felt that some of these things define him as a leader. Number one, him being able to lead himself first, and he talked about that he needed to firstly be able to have clarity in his own life. He needs to show up as a husband, as a father, in the home, right? And I think this really resonates with our a vision and culture and mission of the company as well, where, it's God first, family, then only business, right? And John said that, if you cannot lead your own life, if you're not a good leader in your home, how can you then lead other people, right? So self-leadership, and secondly, he talked about being learning based, right? Continuously learning, and you would see that he didn't say that, I need to be learning based, but it's more of like he has learned that, hey, actually there's a lot of things in life that I don't know. There's still a lot of things that I can, like understand. I can go and seek out, so continuous learning based, being teachable, right? And then he also talked about humility, his understanding right now on what it is to, just be humble, and I think it comes hand in hand with also being teachable. And the last one, he talked about being more empathetic towards people. I can vouch to say that actually John understands people very well. And yes, I do agree that maybe his approach towards people now has, I would say, changed. And I think partly why it has also changed is also because of the people that he's mixed around with, right? I like to joke sometimes, to say that if you know the people in the regional team, a lot of them have like a same kind of personality, versus John, who is a very different kind of personality. If you do the Myers-Briggs, right, a lot of us are the ISFJs, whereas John is like just totally opposite, right? Yeah. So I don't know, John, maybe mixing around so much with us has sort of like changed you, but it has changed you for the better. So I'm happy. All right. Wei-Li, how about you in your growth journey? Can you share with others what are the few things that defines you as a leader in your opinion?
I think I agree a lot with what John said. Like humility is something that has to come. I know sometimes in lives we might also have this time or period of time where we think like, oh, we know the most, right? Or we've done something for so long that we think that this is the only way. But I think if we were to have that mindset, it will only stumble us to ourselves a lot more in just growing. But so I think humility is definitely something that, or being willing to just hear from others, being willing to just open your mind to different things or different opinions. I think something that I've also learned along the way. Because sometimes, when things deadlines are there and then we need to make decisions fast, we tend to just do it ourselves, right? And we just tend to just go ahead, right? Or say, okay, just do this, guys, and it will work because it has been done before. But I think also for myself personally is to also to slow down sometimes, and to also just to hear from other people and like, hey, like what do you guys think about this? Not saying that my way is always the right way, but kind of like just hearing from others to also hear, hey, maybe I've not thought of different ways that can be done or different approaches to things. I think that's something that I've learned along the way also. And I think secondly is what I've also in my growth process, or just not something that defined me as a leader, but more like something that I've learned, is to not have the fear of what people would think. I think that resonates a lot in my life, or just even through my process as just a person along the years, right? I think sometimes being in leadership, or just I think even as agents, right, wherever you are, whatever we're doing, we sometimes might fear what the clients would think if you were to say certain things, right? Or just me sometimes fearing their reaction to, or their responses to how to decisions that I would make, or suggestions that I make, right? But I've learned that along the way, sometimes we just need to speak the truth, but we have to do it in a way that is loving lah. So we have to, and because if we don't tell them, or we don't confront certain things, it might not be resolved, or it also could be a blind spot that people are going through and you might not be aware of. But if we're not going to tell them, who's going to tell them, right? So it depends on the situation, but I think along the way I've learned a lot about not fearing what people would think, and this require a lot of courage from me personally. I think you all will know, Christians know me for many years, know my personality. It's sometimes very hard to just say certain things, right? Because we're afraid that it will offend someone. But I've learned that if I were not to do it, would it actually not benefit the person even more? Or how can the person grow? So I think learning that has been a huge thing for me to overcome. And I think along the way, I've really been able to master it a bit more. But of course, you have to do it in a loving way, not like you just say it, right? And then that you just shoot arrows at people's hearts and then like kill them all. No, that's not the intention. But to do it in a way that they are able to hear, and so it could be very different for different people. So you need to just meet them where they are and being able to share certain things when it can be uncomfortable. But if it's going to help, I think we should do it. So I think that's what I've learned, not to have that fear, and to just being able to take up a bit of more courage and when it comes to decisions that are hard. And yeah, so I think along the way, there's something I've learned. And at certain points in life, I also realized that we are also placed in positions or situations where there's no one else that you can go to at that particular time, or there's no John to message or Christine to message, right, for example, or there's no one to, you're just alone, right, facing a certain situation. I think as in terms of leadership, or even just as a person, it's just learning how to make decisions fast, or sometimes even when it's uncertain and you're not sure what's going to happen. Because people like me, I like to plan and I like to know what's going to come forward, right? If so I need to know like, what are the consequences. But sometimes there are situations where you just wouldn't know, but you have to make the decisions. So I think it's also a lot of courage is needed. You just have to do it, and yeah, do it. And then if it's wrong, feel fast, feel forward, right? So I think that's what I've learned along the years, where sometimes we just need to step up, even in our own personal lives. It is required to. We just need to step up, and then we will only know.
Yeah. So very, very, very interesting that you said that you like to plan, because I'm also like that. I also like to plan. A planner, right? But we know that sometimes being too much of a planner also, things will not jadi lah, the way that we have planned, or we hope to be, right? And I think that's also the kind of like the reality that we're right now we're living in, with COVID, with lockdown, and also even in the industry that we're in, right? Like real estate business, the landscape has been, ever changing since a couple of years back. What more even now with the COVID situation. So how, like in seeing this, and then in wanting to be a planner, but in just facing all these uncertainties, right? How do you find the balance between doing a good job in your role, but yet at the same time managing the change that is happening?
See what John texted here, right? He said that he likes to plan 1 hour before. So I think along with the current situation, and just with Eric, how fast things have been evolving and changing, I also mastered that. Or more or less, the planner in me has somewhat been reduced or minimized by a lot. Not saying that I still don't plan, but more being more flexible, or just being a lot more open to changes. So like now when it comes to things that we need to plan for, I will just do it at the spot when it's needed to, and not maybe worry about it beforehand as much as I would have had before, simply because also there's no time or given time for us to do that to have so much time to think and plan, but more like when it's needed, then we do it So I think this situation has called for a lot of fast decisions, a lot of on the fly, you're right. A lot of things that is required to be done in the next 5 minutes. We just have to do it, and I think that a lot of times at this point, we're just not aiming for perfection anymore, but rather progress. So we're just like, okay, let's just do it however it is, right? It's like slight mistakes is okay lah, as long as we just jalan and get things done, as long as it serves the purpose of why it was meant to be done in the first place. I think that's utmost importance lah. So I think that's something I've learned is to really just go for it, and then we will discuss further. And usually when we want to discuss further, it's moving on to the next thing already. So there's always, it's just as fast as it is now lah. So yeah, I think learning to be, I've learned a lot to be very flexible and just to plan on the spot now, and not to have so much of a backup plan anymore, or not to think too far ahead because the situation just doesn't call for it now.
Wow. How many of you are learning new things from Wei-Li and John this morning? Right. If you have any questions you would like to ask them, now is your time to ask, because I am controlling this. So I can help you ask the questions. Okay. Now, if you have any questions you'd like to ask them, please type it in the box, or if you have any ahas from their sharing or based on what they have said, right, please share them with us also. We would like to hear them. Okay. So Peter has a question. Wow, it's a good question, because actually that was also going to be one of my questions which I was going to ask. But yes, let's address Peter's question. He asked, hi John and Wei-Li, what is the greatest challenge, including rents issues, in bringing the company forward?
I think John's name was mentioned first. John, would you like to do the honors?
Okay, John, yeah.
Right, very smart these people. Okay, but I think I always have this thought that God has given me a very, very good gift. A gift of the ability to understand patterns, changes very fast. So that's my gift. I can see patterns, I can see changes, I can see things happening, I can see what I can look ahead and imagine what may happen, right? And I think the challenge is when I understand that, how do I translate it back and get people to be aligned? I think that's the number one problem. I'll give an example today. This particular COVID-19 thing has changed the way we behave and approach business. And one of my number one challenge is, how can I get people to see that it's actually changing? That the old has already gone. Like what was happening 2020 January will not happen anymore. It's all gone already. It's all changing already. Now we are potentially going around without our phones. We cannot enter places right now. Like without a smartphone right now, you can't enter places because you don't have a digital certificate. You cannot enter anymore. Just as an example, the change is very extreme, but there are people who are not seeing that, or refusing to see that, or maybe may not seek the courage to want to face this, or they are a little bit slow in doing that. And my concern is that if they don't change, then potentially 40–50% of the people in the industry, I'm talking about the industry as a whole, will no longer exist in this industry anymore. That's my number one concern. My number one concern is that some of us may not exist anymore to do what we're supposed to do. That's the number one concern. So I think, yeah, if you ask me, that's my number one challenge that I'm going through right now. How can I let people see? How do I? And it's my responsibility. It's not their fault, but it's my responsibility to get people to see that, hey guys, this is the reality that's coming, and to bring that reality to quickly get people to kind of embrace it and make peace with it, and move with it or not move with it, right? So that's my number one challenge.
Okay. So follow through from that question. Okay, I'm seeing all your questions. Don't worry, I will address them. But I wanted to just talk about this one first, because it links to just basically what John has just said. Tina asked, how do you then challenge people who refuse to change?
Good question. Gary Keller taught me this question. Taught me this lesson. Last time I had this mindset, let's change everyone. Let's do something everyone can become one, everyone can do together one. But in reality, it's not possible. In reality, time does not wait for everyone to come. The bus is rolling. The bus is, let's use a different word. The bullet train has left the station already. And the bullet train won't stop. So then the question is, then what do you do as a leader? Then the smart thing that Gary Keller teaches us is, work with people that is willing to chase the bullet train. Because as the line grows longer, when there are many more people going towards that direction, it will then attract more people to come. So you got to be very strategic and work with people who are willing, who are able, who can comprehend, who wants to make this happen. Now, they may not be able, but they want to make this happen. So work with them first. Work with people who are ready and wanting to change. Because as you see this happening, many more people will see them as examples. So the smart thing is to work with the top 10%, top 15%, top 20%. That is where we need to help these people to move first. When you help this group of people, it will attract other people. Right? And it's a choice. Some people may not, like what Adina said is true. Some people don't want to take the train anymore. I want to just sit down at this stop. I'm here. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And that is, as a leader, you must make peace with that. There's some people just don't want to change. It's okay. Then focus on people that want to change, because you will do more service and you'll do more impact with people who are more willing and more ready to go. Because the impact will spill over as we go along the way. Right.
Yeah. And Peter God was saying this, that yes, some of us are playing catch up, we are behind, but it's not too late. And I want to echo what Peter has said, because I also personally believe that it's better that you are playing catch up than you're not moving at all. Right? Because when you're playing catch up, at least you are doing something and you have the desire to want to move forward, right? So yeah, so for those of you who feel that I'm always playing catch up, like John is like, I don't know, 100 feet, 100 yards away from me. Trust me, sometimes we all in the team also feel like that he's also very much away from us. But the reality is, it's better that you are at least doing something to want to progress than you have decided that you don't want to do anything at all to change. Okay, so Joanne very much earlier on mentioned that when someone is put in a position of title, the impact and influence of that person's leadership is more powerful. Would you agree? What do you both think?
I think I would say that when with leadership or with a title comes responsibility lah. I guess you are responsible to what your job encompasses, or the people that's supposed to be under your leadership. So yes, in the sense that it gives you a greater responsibility. Whether it's more powerful, more impactful, I think to a certain extent, yes, it's true that that impact should come to the people that's under your care, or the ones that you're supposed to lead. So it is connected in that sense, but I would want to rephrase it that, with leadership or with titles, right? It just shows that, hey, this person is in charge of this thing, or this person's job scope requires this, right? And I think this just shows that you are kind of the ambassador to that title that you hold on to. You are representative of that. So it would require more different kinds of responsibilities as to each title. So regardless of what title you are, or whatever positions you play, you have each of us has very different responsibilities, and I don't think there's one greater than the other, because all our job scopes are all very different, and it touches different things. So I think it comes with just that responsibility to what you're supposed to care for. That's what I would chip in, unless John has a different opinion.
I got a question for everyone here today. And I think I'm not being political, but I just want your observation. How do you all feel about the leaders of our country right now? The people who are in power, who has a title. How do you feel about them right now? One word describe them right now in the chat box. How do you feel about them? Let's be honest about it today. Well, nobody did, right? Don't worry, we won't. This one just go to YouTube only.
Scared after. Hey, yeah, go to YouTube. Wait, hello. Okay.
You just don't read the chat messages out, then you're fine.
They can't see your thing one. Yeah. Yes. And I said very simple things. It's because the title, to earn the title, I believe, is because you are here to serve someone else. You are here to serve the greater good. You are here to impact. You are here to help others. So if you want to be the leader the title is an enabler for you to serve others. Does that make sense? So as leaders, right, the reality of leadership, it's about serving others. Because if you really want to have that title, make sure you're prepared to serve others. Make sure you are prepared to eat last. Make sure you're prepared to help others first before yourselves. And when you see that people who are in misalignment of this role where they are not serving, but they want a title and they are behaving differently, you create so much more negative impact. Yes, so the title does give impact. It's either a positive impact or a negative impact. Because if you choose to serve others, likely you will bring some positive impact. Even you are not good at your job. You are so lousy at your job, but your intention is clear to serve others, is driven by the need to serve others. Somehow, somewhere, you will make some positive impact. But you're here to serve yourself, your impact will not be positive. So I think it's a very good question, but it's a two-edged sword. Right.
Okay. John, there was a question, but this one is more for you to follow through on how you talked about, personal leadership at home. The question is, how do you split your role between a leader in a company, being a dad, and a husband at home with all the workload that you have?
Right. Good question. Have someone hold me accountable. I have a spiritual leader that holds me accountable. I have a personal coach outside of business that holds me accountable in my business, in my family life. I've got someone that is helping me to think like a husband and think like a father person that holds me accountable as well. So that's one thing. Number two is have good conversation with your wife or your spouse. Communication with your spouse is very critical. I'm not that great at it, by the way, just so that you know, right? Because it's not the most fun thing for me. Doing my work is my fun and playtime. Having hard and tough conversations is not a fun thing for me. But I think that's important, right? Setting aside time, time. For example, Sunday night is marriage time for me and my wife. We sit down and talk. Friday night used to be our date nights. We have time that we go out and have a good time. And then Sunday is probably a bit more serious conversation. So having those kind of time blocking in place to make it work for the family, and have conversation with my son, having a specific time block there is very important. So I think it's about counterbalancing and not about balancing, because you cannot balance in terms of time, but you can counterbalance in terms of intention. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Thank you for sharing. Wei-Li, this question, do you think there are two types of leadership, those with strong domineering personality and those with nurturing and guiding personality? Which type is more effective leadership in your opinion?
Okay, so I think that's why no one can lead alone, right? Because we are all made so different. We all have very different traits. So I don't think either one is more efficient, because if you were to just go with one style, everything will kaput lah, because there's not going to be a good balance of any other trait. So I think that's why they always say we cannot go alone. We have to work in a team, and that's how we can reach far, right? So yes, I think that's why you see in organizations or even a company, we're also different. So like we have people like John and we have people like us. I would say us because me and Christine have very similar traits, and it's all also based off the DISC, right? We will know that a good leadership requires all kinds of people to make things work. So we can also fill in the gaps of what someone else is short, or someone else has a different strength than you, right? And we work together that way. So I think you need a balance of all kinds of people in leadership to make it effective.
Yeah, I agree with Wei-Li. I think that the personality traits are something that all of us have, and we're all very different in our own way, but none of us can say that, like I am better than this person, right? We're all just different and unique individuals. And I think that what works the best is usually when there is an effective team, then you have effective leadership. Like John will tell you, and I'm quite sure I can safely say this, he can tell you that he can have great vision, but when it comes to execution, he would need the team to execute it. Because if it's just left to him to execute it, I also don't know lah what will happen. But then that is where we gel together, because some of us are not so good in the vision thing, right? Because we are our gifting is more in the details. But then when you bring like a John, and then you bring like a Wei-Li and a few more others like us, and you mash them together, then that's where you will have effective and great leadership. Okay, John, one more last question, which I think maybe you are the best to answer this. As a leader of your own real estate business, what is the best advice that for us agent to storm through this new era of doing business? Okay, so Naki asked this question. Okay, what's the best advice for us agent to storm through this new era of doing business, especially when there's so many new type of like services that is trying to disrupt the business and is trying to basically take away the real estate agent business, like the speed homes lah, you know, property guru acquiring iProperty and so on and so forth.
Right. So the first myth that I hear a lot is after MCO, everything will be back to normal. You got to first make peace with that lie. That is the biggest lie in our head right now. That everything else will be back to normal where it was last time. It is not. It is never going to be back to normal. It's never going to be like that anymore. The time where someone, a client, is going to be so comfortable coming out physically, all out like last time, it's not going to happen. And there are some businesses will still have to figure out a way to make it work. I'll give an example. Cinema, I don't know when will cinema be back. I don't know when the travel industry will be back. So the whole entire landscape of business is changing and will change, and it's already changed. And real estate is part of that change. Don't make no mistake of that, right? So make peace with yourself that it's going to change. Now, the question we should be asking, and it's all about asking questions, it's what is it that I need to do to reinvent my business so that it's safe and it's growing? What is it that I need to do to reinvent my business so that it's safe and it's growing? When I mean safe, it is safe from technology disruption. It is safe from somewhere else taking over my market share. What should I do? What must I do? Right? Now, if you want to know what you must do, then you must first understand what's happening. Go and research and look at your competitors. Now, in my business, our business in the region, our competitors are not only our other brand competitors, but the technology disruption that's coming in. That's another competitor. I've been telling this for a very long time. Every time when I'm invited to speak in a MAREC conference or in a real estate conference in this country, I will sound like a mad scientist saying that the enemy is not in this room. The enemy is not this brand versus that brand, this company versus that company. The real threat is the guys that's trying to replace the entire industry. And people say, well, John, you crazy, like, it won't work. And that was just two years ago before COVID. When COVID came, the whole real estate landscape changed. It had so much changes that it had more than it had changed in the past 20 years. We had so much change in the past 18 months. It is because that the change has given more opportunity for the technology companies to come in and take over our business. And that's the reality. We must find a way to understand and accept. You must understand first. Once you understand, then you begin to devise a plan. What's the plan? What's the mind? What's the game? And I think who you associate with right now will support you for your future business. Who you choose to associate with, who you choose to feed your mind with content that is talking about the future is very important. Never have there be a time when agents decide to choose a company to keep themselves alive. Never before. Last time you joined the company, all the pretty much the same. But today that has changed. You've got to figure out which company you are part of that is able to withstand and have a chance to compete with the tech giants. And one of them is bringing $500 million to come to our market right now. And you can't do this alone, right? So I believe having the right alignment with the right people is important. Having the right community to go through this together is very important. Having the clarity and understanding what's actually happening. And it may sound very realistic. A lot, I think 99% of the people I speak to in our industry, outside of our company, thinks I'm mad. And it's a good sign. Because everybody in the beginning, when you're challenging something, like we are trying to have a vision, right? Remember, you're always challenging something, then you will be challenged at the same time. That means it's on the right track. That means we are on the right track. We are trying to redefine a lot of things. So to really go deep and answer that question that I think Naki gave us just now, is really about understanding the reality of what's going on and aligning yourself with the right team to compete with these people. Because it's different already, you just cannot form a 20-person company and then fight these people. You can't. You're going to be part of something bigger than yourself to compete, to stay in the game, to protect your industry, to protect your market share. It's about alignment with the right team to compete with them. And you're going to find someone that's willing to compete with them. And you must have that vision for yourself and courage to say, I need to fight this right now. And it's about competition. So competition is necessary. And I don't blame the technology company. I don't think they're evil. Honestly, I honestly don't think they're evil and wicked. I just think that they are running a business to be competitive and trying to win market share. That's the nature of business. You got to understand. That's the nature of business. It's always competing for market share. And in order for them to win market share, someone's got to lose market share for them to win market share, right? So I think that's how we should think about it. It's a mindset first. And you think like that, then you will figure out ways and you'll figure out strategies. Maybe it's adoption of technologies. Before you even look at technology, I think you should change your mindset first. The technology is just a tool. It's just an enabler to help you compete better. But you must first want to compete. Because if you're not wanting to compete, the tool is quite useless. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Right. Great. Okay, we're really running out of time. We've gone past 10:15. Thank you everybody for your questions. I may have missed some. I'm so sorry. Maybe we should have Wei-Li and Jonathan come back again for another session so that they can address your other questions. Okay. If you enjoyed today, please appreciate them in the chat box. And really, yeah, just show your gratitude to them. I know that they have also spent some time going through the questions and trying to bring you guys value today. Can we have the announcement slides very quickly before I come back to John and Wei-Li for last insights? Can you quickly have the announcement slides? Yes, can I see it? All right, so this is the calendar, the training calendar for this week. Okay, we're already on Monday. Just take note that Wednesday and Fridays are pretty important trainings, especially the ones from our KW Worldwide and KW RI speakers. Okay, next. Yes, so this Wednesday we have Emre Errol from KW Turkey. He is the operating principal of Keller Williams Turkey, and he will come to really share his experience and his story on how KW Turkey is going through this political and economic crisis, but still doing well. All right, so please join us. Next, I think the other one that we have is Gabby Brennans-Holtz. I always cannot pronounce her last name properly. All right, we had her before last year and she was a big hit with everyone. So she's coming back again to speak on how we can master a winning mindset. So do invite your friends and fellow colleagues for this. Okay, just take note that it's on a Friday night. All right. Okay, next. Okay, so we have every week we have this available, which is actually spotlight slots for your listings. But please take note that this is only applicable for featured listings. Okay, so I think as of date we have 24 out of 46 spotlights that is being used. So take note of this. Okay. Next, I think next is actually on the the list and feature to win. So on this same note, we also have this campaign that is being hosted and run by The Edge, whereby you get to win up to about 500 credits, right, per winner, right? But the more exciting thing is that as a company, if we hit our goal of having 3,000 featured listings, we actually get a 20% credit back to us. All right. So I would like to say that, yay, let's do this together, right? So yeah, so please look into this, right? Now, just bear in mind, right? This is not just I upload my listing, then it's there already. This is actually feature listing. So you need to use your credit to feature your listing, okay? So it's not as simple as just I upload, then it's done. It's there, okay? This is actually a feature listing campaign, okay? Different from the previous one that we ran, all right? Next. What do we have? Yes, another reminder that we have launched this Etika e-medical pass, and it's available for you guys to register for insurance. I understand there are already quite a number who not only inquired, but who has registered. We're also in the midst of actually planning a session just with Etika for them to come and share more information on this as well. So keep a lookout on that. Okay, I'm currently liaising with them on a suitable date and time. Next. Right, we have touch points, okay, and available every Thursday. So check them out on Workplace under the Review Happenings group. Now this particular touch points is very much focusing on pricing the property correctly. All right, so to do take advantage and leverage on these touch points to connect with your clients. Next. All right, so that's the end of today's session. John and Wei-Li, any last insights or thoughts that you want to leave for your fellow listeners and participants today?
I think before anything else, especially during this season of the pandemic, right, I think it's very important to first care for yourself. As we all know, it's been very challenging. Regardless of whatever you're doing right now, I think it's very important to find that right balance to take care of yourself, to eat your meals, and also just to have that mental space and time for family, right? Because if we don't do that, we wouldn't be able to pour out for others or to serve others better. So I think my last word to everyone is just to take care of yourself so that you can serve others better. Yeah.
Right. My last thoughts are, in this season of crisis, the more serious, and we are in a very serious crisis here, just so that you all know, we are in the perfect storm here, right? And I'm not being negative, I'm being positive about it because I'm able to talk about it, embrace it, and accept it. Right? It's a serious crisis. And when you're in a serious crisis, stronger leadership is necessary. Our own personal courage and strength to lead our life, it's even more important and even more critical right now. So I will encourage every one of us to step out of our comfort zone and to do it, because if we don't, it has impact around us. It has tremendous impact for the people around us, right? So think about the people around us. Think about the people that you are caring for. Think about the clients that you're supporting. Think about the family members that you are leading right now at home. Think about the roles that you're playing in various whether you're in the family or in the organization or whatever it is, right? The impact that you have around the people is very critical, and everyone is in the same crisis just like you and I. So you got to show up with strong leadership in this season. This is just that season that strong leadership is necessary. So I encourage everyone to rise up and have that courage to go forth and really to step out of a comfort zone and take charge your life and your business, because I think this is a season to build that muscle. This is a season that you are changing it right now. And it all starts with ourselves. It all starts with me. How can I be stronger today? How can I take strength and do something that I don't like to do? Right? So that is important. And because if you don't run a successful business right now, it may impact the people around you. It may impact the family around you, or you could have impact someone else positively around you as well. So think about that. I encourage you that this crisis is a long-term crisis. It's not a short-term crisis, by the way. It will be here for some time. It will just change its form. It will change its intensity, but it's here to stay for a while. So be prepared and make peace with that and show up with strong courage and leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Wei-Li. I know some of you guys are also wondering that, with the changing SOPs from the government and the PM actually saying that, there's like this phase 1, phase 2, things are going to be able to open again. And you must be wondering what is happening for us, for our real estate business, right? Bear in mind that we are closely in communication with relevant parties to want to find out what's the latest when it comes to the real estate sector, whether, for example, are you able to do viewing? If yes, what is the SOPs? But as of date, we have not heard anything just yet, so it is status quo. But once we hear and once we get something, then what we will do is we will obviously have a live announcement and we will keep you guys updated on this. All right, thank you everybody for your time. I'm sorry we took additional 15 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed today's session. Take care and we'll see you in the other trainings. Bye.